All right, kids, we're on to number 8, rhythm time. We are now learning a half note value, which is a new rhythmic value compared to the whole note that we did know. So the whole note's counted for 4 counts, and the half note now only counts for 2 counts. And how you tell those time values apart is the whole note was a round note with a hole in the center, and the half note is a round note with a hole in the center plus a stem. The stem can go up or down. Usually if your note is on or below the middle line of the staff, the note stem goes up from the right hand side of the note. And if your note is above or on the middle line or above, the stem goes down from the left hand side of the note. It doesn't change the note value at all to have the stem either going up or down. It's just a strategy to keep the stem from going into the other staves in the music above or below it. So it keeps the stem within the staff. So we are now also going to change our notes with a little less time in between. So if you've done the work up until this point of learning how to go from like F to D pretty quickly or E flat to F, you're going to have a much easier time with the songs moving forward. If you still need to work on those, go back and practice through with one of the other videos until you feel comfortable doing that. No shame in going back and retrying stuff until you feel really comfortable with it. So now we're going to do the rhythm time, and I'm going to play the instructions as they're written in your book. So the first instruction is write the counting and clap the rhythm before you play. So I'm not going to write it, obviously, because I'm going to perform it for you, but I will say the counting, and I'm going to clap at the same time. Now, we can't clap, a clap is just one count. So the way I show that we've got more than one count of clapping is I'll clap and hold. I'll kind of bounce it to show the second beat. And then for a whole note, I'll clap, hold, hold, hold. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. A half note right now can either be 1, 2, or 3, 4. And that's how it's going to look. Now I'm going to set the metronome so you can hear the count, the amount of time each note takes underneath our clapping and saying. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice that you can say either rest, rest for the 2 count rest, or 3, 4 because those are the counts in the measure. Now with the half note rest, it looks a whole lot like a whole note rest. How do you tell them apart? Well, here's how. The whole note rest holds on to the 4th line of the staff, the second to top line. It's strong. It holds on like hanging from the monkey bars. The half note rest is half the time value, half as strong. It has to sit on the line, and it always sits on the middle line of the staff. So a half note rest is half the value of a whole note rest. It's 2 instead of 4, and it sits on the line. The whole note 4 count rest holds onto the line. The other easy way to tell between a half note and a whole note rest is that a whole note rest takes up a whole measure in 4/4, and the half note rest only takes up half the measure and usually has either a half note or some quarter notes along with it. So take a look at both of those. Make sure you know the difference between a half note and a whole note. Now the second instruction here is to play it on the note D. So we're just going to play a lot of notes in a row. We haven't done that yet. The skill for playing more than one of the same note in a row without taking a breath in between, and let's say we don't want to take a breath in between every note because we're going to hyperventilate and pass out, and that would be no good for anybody. So we're going to learn how to do what they call tongue or articulate between the notes. Articulation is just the way we start different notes. So we're actually going to take a nice big breath, and we're going to use 6 counts of air for these first 2 measures, like this. So that was 6 counts of air that I took in 1 count. Now to use those for 3 different sounding notes instead of 1 6 count long note, we go like this. Each count or each note was 2 counts, and I used my tongue to stopper the air. I'm actually blowing the whole time. I'm just using my tongue to separate the air like a valve. So what we do is we say the word two without actually saying the word two. So we're going to do that shape with our tongue, but not actually say two, two, two. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, so that's how we get 4 or 6 counts of sound out of one breath, and it's going to sound like this. Here's at 80 beats per minute, and then I'll play it a little faster. And be careful, and that second to last measure, I have students every year get caught up on that last rest. In the rest of the song, we do 3 sounds in a row and then a rest. 3 sounds, then a breath, and then 3 sounds, then a rest. And it's really easy to get stuck on that last note and want to play E flat, D at the end instead of E flat, rest, rest, D. So make sure that you're paying attention to that rest. Here's the higher tempo for you, 100 beats per minute. 1, 2, ready, go. Notice I held that whole note all the way out until what would be beat 1 of the next measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 1 is when I cut off. The other thing is that we don't want to take too big of a gap in that whole note to take the breath before the F in the 5th measure, but we want to make sure that 5th measure F after the breath is always on time and in the right spot. If you don't see a apostrophe for the breath, like during the 2 count rest, the 2 count rest is a perfect place to take a breath, but don't take too long of a breath, because if you take too long of a breath, your air will get stale in your lungs, and then you'll start to shake when you try to use the air to play notes in the next couple of measures. So make sure that you are playing or getting your breath right before you need to play. So 1 count or half a count, take a nice big silent breath, and then use it right away. All right, on the next one, on number 10, we're going to learn how to move notes without any time in between. So if you need a couple extra practices on number 9, make sure you've gone through enough times to feel comfortable with changing notes without having to reference back and look at your fingers.